Hello and welcome to another review from me, Ben Hall, and for Xbox.co.uk. This time we're looking at Battlefield Hardline. Battlefield Hardline is a bit weird. As you can see from the video here, taken from a really poor performance of myself during a Conquest mode multiplayer game, Battlefield Hardline at its core is the same as last year's Battlefield 4. While that's not a completely awful thing, and in some ways it's a good thing because at launch, it plays wonderfully. I've had no lag issues or performance problems, no problems getting into games or partying up with people, which is a very nice change to Battlefield 4's problems. However, it feels very much like a reskinned version of Battlefield 4, especially in the multiplayer. To be fair, kind of only in the multiplayer. We'll talk about the single player shortly. The multiplayer experience is fine, it's solid, and it works, but it looks like crap. I mean, as you can see from the visuals here, things haven't moved forward at all in the last year or so, and it's starting to look dated, if anything. Really dated. The engine needs an update, and I'll be interested to see what they do with Star Wars Battlefront at DICE, because what Volition have been sort of told here, I would think, is just don't fuck with Battlefield. Leave the multiplayer as it was and as it's, how people want, and that's fine. There are some new modes that work quite well in this cops versus robbers setting. We've got things like Heist, which is steal money or stop them. We've got things like Hotwire, which is stealing cars and basically their movable control points. Blood Money, stealing money from a shared pool of money and then getting it to a vault or protecting a vault. Crosshair and Rescue are a bit different for Battlefield, because they both rely on the idea of an only one life mechanic, which is kind of different for Battlefield, but works, I think, really well within the setting of cops versus robbers. Basically, Crosshair is you escort a VIP, take out the enemy, or try to kill the VIP, and Rescue, which is either keeping hostages captive or rescuing them, all to tight time limits and multiple rounds and single life. I actually really enjoyed those modes. I think they worked really well. The single player in Battlefield is where some of the controversy could have come from. You could argue, and in the multiplayer as well, that at the moment with this example of extremely militarized police in America, it's a tone-deaf entry into the series from EA and Volition, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It is a little bit ill-conceived, but what's surprising is that because the single player is so bland and does so little in the way of anything interesting or remotely controversial in its storytelling, the whole experience comes across as flat and disappointing. There are some enjoyable characters in there, but I don't feel like they're giving anything sort of original enough to do to really warrant your time with it. The single player missions are presented in a sort of episodic Netflix style structure, which is fun, but it only kind of goes half the way. One of the big glaring problems being that you can't quit out between episodes, even though it gives you a really nice sort of obvious checkpoint position. It forces you into the next episode, and then it forces you to watch a cutscene. Cutscenes are unskippable throughout single player, even when you replay missions. That's a crazy oversight, considering they're encouraging you to replay missions, because there's a single player leveling up system that isn't found anywhere else in the game, with rewards that are specific to single player. So that's a bit strange. The other strange mechanic in the single player is that it relies heavily on stealth, with a badge flashing mechanic that sort of makes you want to capture prisoners instead of just shooting them in the face, capture the criminals. That's not bad, that works in the context of the game, but it's strange for a Battlefield game. It almost feels like this would have been a better fit to a different sort of shooting game, such as the Medal of Honor series that didn't take off for EA. But it does feel like the whole concept of cops versus robbers is shoehorned in the Battlefield experience. It's not an all-in-all bad game, but it's definitely an average game. It's showing its age, but it's fun enough in multiplayer. Single player is an interesting experiment, but I think it mostly fails. Head over to the website for more. Bye.